Hey guys, Mike here. So happy Friday to everybody, and what an interesting day in the market, right? We had banks report this morning, United Healthcare report this morning. The banks just crushed it and knocked it out of the park, at least the majority of them, especially the big ones. And they were all green. You thought, okay, well, this is what the market's been waiting on, but I don't know what's going on. United Healthcare crushed it, but the market was just red, right? And so why is that? And so we're going to get into all the data that came out, some other things. Also, you might wonder if you were watching the S&P and go, I don't understand why it stopped at this number and started going back up. What happened? Was there some positive news? But getting into the banks here, I'm just curious, am I the only one wondering about this? But you got the Fed discount window and then the bank term funding program, right? And this is all the money, right? This goes all the way back to 2018 here. All the money they've been taking out on these loans, they've been putting their bonds, which are underwater, in for, a collateral. And then, of course, they're paying an interest rate. But I don't see anywhere in there that says they can't just take this money, because the only thing they really got it for is so to make sure if there's a bank run, they would have the deposits covered. And so, as far as I know, let me know in the comments if you know this. I hadn't read anything where they can't just take the money and just stick it into the overnight Fed repo program and draw interest off of it. So basically, the loan ends up being free, essentially. So just let me know if you've seen that or anything. But again, yeah, the banks, suppose everything looked good. Even though JP Morgan comes out and says, yeah, we still got enough money and all that, but of course, there could be a lot of storms ahead. And another thing that was positive for banks, and this came out afterwards, but they actually finally had a positive week for deposits. You can see, look at that right there. And that is after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks in a row where we were taking our money out, right? And some of the bigger banks actually did benefit from this as well, because the regional banks are the ones getting crushed. Here's one thing that keeps us having money, right? And this is the wage growth tracker coming out of Atlanta. And as you can see, the lowest quartile is still way up there, but it did decrease, while the highest quartile, the people that don't really need it, it's not as high, but theirs continues to be a straight shot up, right? And so you are having the lower wage or lower quartile coming down, but it's still relatively high compared to down here, as you can see. And, just kind of push that home about the highest quartile. You can see right here, this came out today, the Exxon CEO's pay jumps 52% in 2022, while at the same time, he shrunk the workforce to the lowest level in 2 decades. And you can see, sorry guys, but you can't work here because I need to make more monies. And he makes a boatload of money. And so then you go into this more data that came out this morning. Again, sales slowed, right? And so it's not a surprise. I think it's just 2 months in a row now. You can see, the economy is slowing down. That's not a surprise there with everything that's going on. But again, you see how high it is compared to the norm and stuff. And so we'll see if this keeps continuing to soften and everything. And with all this said and done, I don't know if you saw yields, but the 10 and 2 were just on a roll this morning. And now all of a sudden, we went all the way up to 83% chance they're going to do a 25 basis point hike in May. And one of the Fed presidents says, BlackRock came out and said they see 2 or 3 more rate hikes this year, which would be stunning in a way. But I guess we're pretty much settled in at a 25 basis point hike in May. And that leads me to this question. This came out today, and I don't want to sound ignorant by asking this question, but I've never been to this country before. But I'm trying to figure out, do they just have nothing but rich people in this country? Because I believe it is a big oil country. But how do the normal folks live in Argentina? Look at the inflation rate that just came out today. It is 104%. And if you look, right there, 104. And if you look going back to April 2022, it's gone from 58% to the 104%. So if you've ever been there, let me know. Or recently in the last year, how in the world our inflation went up to almost 9, and you can easily tell that your grocery bills are increasing, your gas bills are increasing, your utility bills are increasing. How does anybody afford to live in this country? I'm just curious. Again, I don't know much about Argentina at all. I've never been there. So let me know in the comments and let us know what the deal is. And that's just insane to me when I see that. My goodness. Now, of course, at the same time, this came out yesterday. We're run by people who have 400 PhDs at the Fed, and this is the M2 money supply, who figured we will inject this much money. See that big old injection right there? It almost looks like a hypodermic needle, right? We'll inject this much money, and nothing bad's going to happen. Inflation, again, will be transitory for over a year, they said. before they decided to step in and do anything. Of course, now M2 money supply is negative for I think the first time in history. And so again, we'll have to see what happens on that. But it just every time I see this, I just shake my head and think, these are supposed to be the people that know what they're doing. You didn't think injecting that much money into the system was going to cause problems? I mean, that is just crazy right there. And if you get anything out of this, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And if you're new, think about subscribing. If you like this content, I really appreciate your support. And so let me know in the comments what you think about that. Or if you're an expert on the M2 money supply going negative and stuff, let us know in the comments as well. I've read many times it's not a very good thing for us. So, and again, I don't think anybody really knows at this point in time. We'll find out. Now, in the charts, I'm going to show you here. You had the SPY, obviously big red, and all of a sudden it got saved. But if you look at the long term here's the good thing. It did close right there, that double top where we got rejected the other day. It closed above, around that 4012 area, right in that supply zone, okay, on the weekly. That was actually good for the bulls, just to let you know that. Again, if we go to the 1 minute, you might notice and say, well, man, we were, selling off pretty good there. And all of a sudden at 4:10:06, boy, made a U-turn there and started turning back up at 1:39, I believe it was. Well, what it was, and I put this in the morning news brief for the members, you had a 410 put wall sitting in there. They don't want to pay this stuff out as weekly expirations, right? 420 call wall, 410 put wall, and look at all the puts below that. So you couldn't let that break, right? And so there you go. There's your U-turn. Now, the Qs, look at the Qs here. From March 30th to the 14th, they've basically done nothing. Okay, they're just, and a lot of people say, if you look at this, it's coiling up. Now, whether it's coiling up to go up or down, that's what we got to figure out. Because when I look at this, I'm looking going, well, if I go from March 30th to this, there is like a 2% increase, right? Slight increase, but it's inclining, right? Then you look at the RSI. Are we seeing divergence? Is the RSI trying to tell us something here on the daily? That's what we got to figure out. We're going to find out next week. Obviously, a bunch of earnings, which I'll go into Sunday with you guys. So watch out for that. But you can see over the last few days that the SPY has outperformed the Qs as of late. So pay attention to that. Now, Microsoft, simple, sitting in the same spot. Still hadn't broke the ascending trend line. Still hadn't broke through that supply zone right there. And if you look, magically, it turns at 139. There was two things that helped it. First of all, the market obviously hit that 410 put wall. And so it started going up. The other thing that came out like 1 minute after it started to turn up was, oh my goodness, it got upgrades. I've never heard of these people, but from 290 to 310 and 305 to 310. So 310 seems to be a magic number. So that always helps the stock move up, all right? And then if you look at Tesla, I'm going to go into this problem this stock is having. Obviously, same thing. You got another lower high right there coming down, getting wedged in right here. So it's going to break one way or the other. And let me know, because you got earnings coming up this month, if you think the top gap is going to fill first or the bottom gap. And the problem is, I think this is becoming a daily occurrence. It gets released again. They say, hey, we're cutting prices. Once again, this time they're trying to spur demand in Europe, Israel, and Singapore. So again, whether they're trying to spur demand, knock out competition, whatever it is, the big boys are trying to figure out how bad this is going to hurt margins and earnings. That's what they got to figure out. So we'll find out. Now, Apple, simple, very short here. Again, not breaking above this trend line right here. Still sitting at it. It's a big soap opera. Oh my God, what are we going to do Monday? Is what we're going to have to figure out. Still getting wedged in here. So we will find out on that one. Now, the easiest one of all, Meta. Once again, another 0.5% move up. So that puts us around 12.75% away from that huge 17% gap above. And news that will help Meta every day and all day is, when TikTok gets banned somewhere. So, of course, Montana, I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to stop the downloads from new participants in the state of Montana. Again, I'm not a techie, so I don't know how you stop something in your state like that. But, I think as this keeps spreading, you will see, and I think it's going to continue to spread. Let me know in the comments if you think, TikTok's either going to end up selling to an American company, or as it gets banned, I think that's just going to fuel people to go into Meta as well. So, and it is funny, right? Don't seem to matter what happens in the market. Meta just this inching its way up, right? Like a little inchworm, right? And so, again, let me know if you think that's going to actually reach that big gap or not. I can't imagine we've come this far and not going to reach it. But again, SPY, good close for the bulls right there. Q's coiling up. Let me know in the comments what you think it's going to do. Go up or down. Looks like a little divergence to me. Yeah, maybe not. Doesn't always play out that way. Keep that in mind. Tesla, I don't know. I mean, I can't wait to see earnings. Wait to see where the margins have gone. Wait to hear them talk about all the price cuts, which is, what is that? I don't know, fifth, sixth, seventh time. I don't even know. And so they got to be spurring demand. There's no doubt about that because they're a lot cheaper and it's a very popular car. I mean, I saw somebody put out one yesterday and I didn't want to share it with you because it looked ridiculous. But it was showing how Tesla's losing, EV market share. Well, of course they are. I said that a year ago. I mean, there's no way they can hold the market share they had. Not with all the competition coming out. There's no way, right? And so, of course, again, that's why you might be seeing price cuts. And so, but we'll find out. I don't like to guess on it. I just like to hear from the Elon Musk and his team say what's going on, and the numbers speak for themselves. So what to find out and see. So another chart saying, well, this is just basically kind of coiling up for earnings so we can get another huge explosion. And it could. It is Tesla, right? I mean, when it hit 101 and rocketed to 200 in less than 3 weeks, now a lot of people may have been caught off guard by that. But again, it's Tesla, okay? And it has a huge following, especially retail. So I never counted out, and I never bet against it. So it's just one of those things. Sunday, we'll go over a lot of earnings coming out next week. A lot more economic data will come out next week. And, next week, we can all bet one thing. It's going to be extremely volatile, okay? I think we can all agree on that. But I'll have a whole bunch of information for you on Sunday about that. Hit the like and subscribe button if you get anything out of this. I really appreciate it. Feel free to share the video. Some of you guys have been sharing it and telling me about it, and I really do appreciate it. It does help the channel. All right? So have a great weekend, and I'll see you Sunday.